The day my daughter opened my refrigerator, she did not scream at first. She just stood there, very still. Her hand was still on the handle, and the cold air brushed her face, but she did not move. I was sitting at the small kitchen table behind her, holding a cup of warm water. Not tea, not coffee, just warm water, because that was all I had left that morning. I remember thinking how quiet the house felt. Too quiet for a place that once held laughter, noise, and family meals. The only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator and the ticking of the old wall clock. Then my daughter whispered, "Mom, what is this?" I did not answer right away. I already knew what she was seeing. Empty shelves, a half bottle of water, one small bowl of leftover rice covered with plastic wrap, no milk, no vegetables, no fruit, no leftovers waiting for tomorrow. That was my reality, and she was seeing it for the first time. Just 2 weeks earlier, she had taken my savings, all of it, my pension, my safety, my quiet comfort. She told me it was just for a short trip, a break she said she needed, a chance to breathe. I had smiled and said yes. I always said yes, but that refrigerator told her a story I never had the courage to say out loud. My name does not matter much. I am just a mother, a widow, a woman who spent most of her life caring for others and believing that love would come back to her in the same way. I raised my daughter alone after her father passed away. She was only 9 when we buried him. I still remember her small hand holding mine, shaking slightly, as if she was afraid the world would disappear next. From that day on, I became everything: mother, father, provider, listener, protector. I worked small jobs, cleaned houses, cooked meals for others, saved every coin I could, not for myself, but for her future. When she wanted new shoes, I waited another year before buying one for myself. When she wanted to study, I took extra work without complaining. When she cried, I told her everything would be okay, even when I was not sure myself. I believed that was what mothers did. Years passed quietly. She grew up. She became independent, strong, confident. I was proud of her, truly proud. After retirement, my pension was small but steady. It was not much, but it gave me peace. I knew I could buy food, pay bills, and live simply without asking anyone for help. I lived alone in a modest home, nothing fancy, just a clean space, a small kitchen, and memories in every corner. My daughter lived in the city. She visited sometimes, not often, but I never complained. I told myself, she is busy. She has her own life. That is what mothers tell themselves when silence grows. One afternoon, she called me. Her voice sounded tired but excited at the same time. "Mom," she said, "I really need a break." I listened quietly. She talked about stress, work pressure, feeling stuck, feeling like life was passing her by. "I want to travel for a bit," she said softly, "just to clear my head." I asked her where she wanted to go. "Somewhere peaceful," she replied, "somewhere I can breathe." There was a pause, then she said, "Mom, I need help." My heart reacted before my mind did. "How much?" I asked. She hesitated. Then she said a number that made my chest feel tight. It was my savings, almost all of it. I sat on my bed holding the phone, my pension money, the money I kept for emergencies. "For medicine, for food." She spoke quickly. "I'll pay you back. This is just temporary. You don't really need it right now, right?" I looked around my quiet room, at the worn chair, the old curtains, the framed photo of her as a child. "I trust you," I said, and I meant it. The next week I withdrew the money. My hands shook slightly at the bank counter, but I smiled anyway. When I handed it to her, she hugged me briefly, a quick hug. "Not the kind that lingers. Thank you, Mom," she said. "This means everything." I watched her leave with a light step, excited, free. That night I cooked a simple meal, rice and lentils. I told myself it was enough. I told myself I was strong. Days passed, then weeks. I began to count every coin. I skipped meals without telling anyone. I told myself I was not hungry. I drank warm water to feel full. I slept early to avoid thinking about food. When my daughter sent photos from her trip, I replied with heart emojis and kind words. I never told her I was struggling, because mothers do not burden their children. That is what I believed. One evening, she called again. "I might come visit you soon," she said casually. I felt a mix of happiness and fear. Happiness, because I missed her. Fear, because I knew what she would see. I cleaned the house carefully, wiped every surface, arranged the cushions, but no amount of cleaning could hide an empty refrigerator. The night before her visit, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at it. That old refrigerator had seen my whole life. Family dinners, birthday cakes, leftovers for tomorrow. Now it held my silence. I whispered to myself, "It's okay, just one day." I did not know that one look inside it would change everything. My daughter arrived the next afternoon. I heard her footsteps before I saw her face. They sounded confident, lighter than mine. When she walked in, she smiled and hugged me again. A little longer this time, but still careful, as if she did not want to stay too long in that moment. "You look thinner, Mom," she said softly. I laughed it off, old age. I replied, "That's what it does." She looked around the house. Everything was clean, too clean. The sofa cushions were perfectly aligned. The floor shined. The air smelled like soap and quiet. "You still keep this place neat," she said. I nodded. "It keeps me busy." What I did not say was that cleaning helped me forget hunger. It helped pass the time. It helped me feel useful. She placed her bag down and went to wash her hands. I stood in the kitchen, unsure of what to do next. Normally, I would ask, "Are you hungry?" Normally, I would open the fridge without thinking. This time, I waited. She sat at the table while I boiled water. The kettle made a soft whistling sound. "What's for lunch?" she asked casually. My heart skipped. "Oh, just something light," I said. "I wasn't expecting you today." She nodded, scrolling through her phone. I poured hot water into 2 cups, added nothing else. She looked at her cup, then at mine. "Just water?" she asked. "Yes," I said quickly. I already ate. It was a lie, but it was a gentle one. At least that is what I told myself. She did not push. She never pushed. We talked about her trip, the places she visited, the views, the food she tried. Her eyes lit up when she spoke. She sounded alive. I smiled and listened, but inside I felt smaller with every word. She talked about restaurants, about meals she could not finish because portions were too big. I nodded slowly, holding my cup. After some time, she stood up. "I'm going to get a drink," she said. My chest tightened. She walked toward the refrigerator. I stayed seated. I told myself she would not notice. I told myself she would just grab water and close it. But that is not what happened. She opened the fridge and leaned forward slightly. Then she stopped. Her body froze. Seconds passed, long seconds. She moved one item, then another. I watched her shoulders stiffen. "Mom," she said quietly. I did not respond. "Mom," she said again, louder this time. I stood up slowly, not because she called me, but because I knew what was coming. She turned to look at me. Her eyes were wide, confused. Then slowly something else appeared. Fear. "What is this?" she asked. Her voice trembled slightly. I walked closer, but not too close. "It's just how it is right now," I said calmly. She stepped aside so I could see the fridge with her, as if I did not already know every empty space. This can't be all," she whispered. I shrugged gently. "I don't eat much anymore." She stared at me. "Why?" she asked. I took a deep breath. "Because I gave you my savings, because I chose you over myself, because I did not want to worry you." But I did not say any of that. Instead, I said, "I'm fine." She closed the fridge slowly. "Mom, where is your food?" she asked. "I manage." I replied. "How long has it been like this?" I paused. "Some time," I said. Her hands shook slightly as she placed them on the counter. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. I looked down. "You were enjoying your trip." I said softly. "I didn't want to disturb you." She swallowed hard. "That money," she said slowly. "That was your pension, wasn't it?" I nodded. "All of it?" she asked. I hesitated, then nodded again. Her face changed completely. It was no longer relaxed, no longer confident. It looked young again, like the child she once was. She sat down heavily in the chair. "Oh God," she whispered. I stood there, unsure what to do. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The refrigerator hummed quietly behind us. "I thought," she began, "I thought you had enough. I thought you were okay." I walked back to my chair and sat down slowly. "I didn't lie," I said gently. "I said I trusted you." She covered her face with her hands. "I didn't even ask," she said. "I just assumed." I reached across the table and placed my hand over hers. I gave it freely, I said. You didn't steal it. She looked up at me, tears forming. But I didn't protect you, she replied. She stood up suddenly and opened the fridge again, as if she hoped food would appear this time. This is not living, she said quietly. I smiled faintly. I've lived harder lives, I said. This is not the worst. She turned toward me. That doesn't make it right, she said. Her voice was not angry. It was full of regret. She looked around the kitchen. At the old table, the chipped cups. When was the last time you bought groceries? She asked. I thought for a moment. I don't remember, I said honestly. She sat back down. I was posting pictures. She said slowly, smiling, while you were here, counting meals. I said nothing, because there was nothing left to explain. That evening, she insisted on ordering food. When the delivery arrived, she watched me eat closely, as if afraid I might disappear if she looked away. You eat slowly now, she said. I nodded. I learned to make it last. She flinched. After dinner, she helped wash dishes, something she had not done in years. I should stay tonight, she said. You don't have to, I replied. I want to, she said firmly. That night, I heard her crying softly in the guest room. I stayed awake, listening. I did not feel angry. I did not feel bitter. I felt tired. As I lay in bed, I thought about all the times I said yes. All the times I stayed silent. I wondered if love was supposed to hurt this quietly. I wondered if I had taught her the wrong lesson. That my needs did not matter. I whispered to the darkness, maybe this is my fault too. The house felt different that night, heavier. The truth had entered the room, and it was not leaving quietly. I woke up before sunrise the next morning. I always did. The house was still, no sounds, no movement. I sat on the edge of my bed and listened to my breathing. Slow, steady. For the first time in weeks, my stomach did not hurt. Not because I had eaten enough, but because something else was filling the space. Truth, I went into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. The refrigerator hummed again, like it always did, as if it was reminding me of what it had revealed. I stood there for a moment, looking at it. Then I whispered, you did what I could not. My daughter came into the kitchen quietly. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were tired and red. She looked smaller than usual, less confident. Mom, she said softly. I turned toward her. Did you sleep? I asked. She nodded a little. We sat at the table together. Neither of us reached for the fridge. The silence between us felt different now, not empty, heavy. She folded her hands together and stared at them. I kept thinking last night, she said, about everything. I waited. I thought I was helping myself, she continued. I didn't think about what I was taking from you. I nodded slowly. I told myself you didn't need much, she said, that you were strong, that you always managed. I looked at her. I am strong, I said gently, but strength does not mean I do not need. Her eyes filled with tears. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I know, I said, and I truly meant it. She hesitated before speaking again. Were you ever scared? She asked. I took a deep breath. Yes, I said honestly, I was. She closed her eyes. Of what? She asked. Of getting sick. I replied, of needing help. Of becoming invisible. She opened her eyes quickly. You are not invisible, she said. I smiled softly. I was becoming invisible to myself. I replied. That made her cry. She stood up suddenly and walked toward me. Then she knelt down in front of my chair. I failed you, she said. Her voice shook. I reached out and touched her hair, just like I used to when she was a child. No, I said, you forgot me. She looked up. There is a difference. I continued. Failure comes from trying. Forgetting comes from assuming. She nodded slowly, understanding. I assumed you would always be okay, she said. I was. I replied, until I wasn't. She took my hands in hers. Why didn't you say no? She asked. I looked at our hands together, old and young, because saying yes felt like love. I said, and saying no felt like losing you. Her breath caught. I would never leave you, she said. I smiled sadly. Children don't leave with their feet, I said. Sometimes they leave with their attention. She broke down then, not loudly, not dramatically, just quiet tears. I was living like my life mattered more, she said. I didn't even think to check on you. I squeezed her hands. You checked on me now, I said, but too late. She replied. I shook my head. Late is better than Never, I said, but late still leaves scars. She nodded. I want to fix this, she said quickly. I'll return the money. I'll take care of you. I looked at her carefully. I don't want to be taken care of. I said, I want to be considered. She listened. Ask me. I continued, don't assume. Don't decide my needs without me. She nodded again. I promise, she said. There was a pause. Then I said something I had never said before. I cannot give everything anymore, I said. I need to keep some things for myself. She looked surprised, then relieved. That's okay, she said. That's more than okay. We both exhaled. She stood up and opened the fridge once more. This will change, she said firmly. I watched her, not with hope, but with awareness. Change does not come from promises. It comes from actions. She closed the fridge gently this time, not in shock, but in respect. That afternoon, we went for a short walk together, side by side. No rush, no heavy talk, just steps and air. For the first time in a long while, I felt seen, not as a giver, not as a safety net, but as a person. The next morning felt different, not lighter, just steadier. My daughter woke up early. Before I did, I could hear soft movement in the kitchen, cabinets opening, water running. When I walked in, she was standing by the counter, holding a notebook. Good morning, Mom, she said. Good morning, I replied. She smiled nervously. I made a list, she said, things we need. I looked at the paper. It was simple. Milk, bread, rice, vegetables, fruit, nothing extra, nothing fancy, just life. She did not say sorry again. She had already said it enough. Instead, she picked up her bag. Let's go shopping, she said. I hesitated. You don't have to, I replied. I know, she said, but I want to. At the store, she walked beside me, not ahead, not behind. She asked questions. Do you like this brand? Is this too much? Will this last? No rushing, no phone. At the checkout, she paid quietly. I did not argue. I did not refuse. This time, accepting felt different. It felt like balance. Back home, she stocked the fridge slowly, carefully. She placed items with intention, as if every shelf mattered. When she finished, she stepped back and looked at it. This is how it should look, she said. I stood beside her. Yes, I replied, but it should never scare you again. She nodded. Never, she said. That afternoon she cooked for me. Not a big meal, just something warm and simple. We ate together at the table, no television. No phones, just food, just presents. Later that day, she handed me an envelope. What is this? I asked. She swallowed. Part of what I took, she said. I can't return it all at once, but I will. I held the envelope without opening it. I trust you, I said. She looked relieved. I don't want to take from you anymore, she said. I want to give back. I nodded. Then we will do it together, I replied. That evening we talked again. Not about blame, about boundaries. I need to know your plans, I said. If you ask for help again. She listened, and I need to feel safe saying no. I added. She nodded. I want you to say no, she said, if it protects you. That sentence stayed with me. Protection, not sacrifice. She stayed with me for several days. She checked the fridge every morning, not in fear, in care. She reminded me to eat, but not in a controlling way. Have you had breakfast? She would ask gently. Sometimes I had, sometimes I hadn't. Either way, she listened. One afternoon, she said something unexpected. Mom, you don't have to be strong all the time. I smiled. I know, I said, but I'm learning. Before she left, she sat with me on the sofa. I used to think independence meant not needing anyone, she said. I looked at her. Now I think it means knowing who you are responsible for. She added. I squeezed her hand. That includes yourself, I said. And you, she replied. On her last day, she packed her bag slowly, not rushed, not distracted. I'll call you, she said. I nodded. And I'll visit, she added. I smiled. Only if you want to, I replied. I want to, she said, and this time I believed her. After she left, the house felt quiet again, but not empty. The fridge was full, the pantry was stocked. More importantly, my voice felt present. Again, I sat at the table with a cup of tea, real tea this time. I realized something then. I had not lost my daughter. I had found myself. The days after my daughter left passed slowly, but they were no longer heavy. I returned to my routine, waking early, sweeping the floor, preparing simple meals, but something inside me had shifted. I no longer moved through the house like a shadow. I walked with intention, with presence. The refrigerator no longer frightened me. It reminded me that I deserved care too. One morning, I stood in the kitchen and listened to the sounds around me. Kettle boiling, the clock ticking, the soft light coming through the window. It felt peaceful, not because everything was perfect, but because everything was honest. I realized that love does not mean disappearing. It means staying visible. I forgave my daughter, not because she was wrong, but because she learned. Forgiveness did not erase what happened. It placed it gently where it belonged in the past. I did not forget, and I did not need to. Forgetting teaches nothing. Remembering teaches balance. I spent many years believing that a good mother gives without limits. That love means sacrifice until there is nothing left. Now I understand something different. A good mother also teaches her children how to respect her life, her needs, her dignity. Love should not empty you, it should hold you. My daughter calls more often now, not to ask, but to listen. Sometimes we talk about small things, sometimes about nothing at all. But there is space in her voice now, space for me. She no longer assumes, she asks, and that, more than money, feels like return. Every now and then, I open the refrigerator and pause, not to check what is missing, but to remember what was once invisible. That empty space taught both of us something important, that love without awareness can still hurt, that silence can starve a heart. If you are a parent listening to this, please remember this: you are allowed to have needs, you are allowed to rest, you are allowed to say no, and if you are a child listening, please look closely at the ones who never complain. Sometimes their silence is not strength, it is hope. Hope that you will notice before it is too late. My daughter did not mean to take my life away. She simply did not see it, and when she finally did, everything changed, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly, honestly. That is how real healing begins. Life does not always break us with storms. Sometimes it breaks us with small, unnoticed moments. An unopened fridge, an unasked question, a forgotten need. But those moments can also heal us. If we are willing to look. I am still a mother. I am still loving. But now I am also whole, and that is enough. Sometimes the quietest parents are hurting the most. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to be seen today, and also subscribe the channel.